Hello, everybody. I'm Sonny Las Vegas. I'm a full-time reseller. Been learning a thing or two about a lot or two. Tonight, I will be solo dolo. I hope Jimmy out there, old school flips, feels better soon. Woke up to feeling under the weather, which seems and is going to be one of the topics of today about weather changes and how I feel it's affecting resellers, but shouldn't be something that stops you. I am kind of outwinded. I was a little hurry making some spaghetti. I had to send my wife out the door, and then I realized like I need to change the thumbnail. So I was trying to change the thumbnail up on here to get things situated, and then all of a sudden my mouse dies, so I couldn't do nothing with it. And although I have a monitor with a stylus to my Wacom, or some people say Wacom, um, I wasn't, I still wasn't able to do nothing because my screen is on my Mac, and I couldn't do nothing on my monitor, even with the stylus. What is up, everybody? Thanks for coming in. I'm going to be solo dolo tonight. Puffy 65's in the house, sarcastic storage stacker. What's going on, Mark? And then we got Jeremy, who was here a little early, 228. Just realized your Sonny Las Vegas chibi head graphic reminds me of Bob's Big Boy. And that's one thing people do talk about, and only 2 or 3 people have gotten it, that it's actually kind of like a twist of Elroy from the Jetsons. And I ended up adding some facial hair at time, and then as my hair grows, the character's hair grows with it. And another thing about this, and this here, one of my new shirts, just got it in. I do have an affiliate link up underneath the description through merch by Amazon. Branding, I feel it's one of the most important things to grow a business. When you have any business of whatever, even if you're going outside and you say you want to sell rocks, and people could do just about anything, all right? And you have to have a certain style, and it has to be your style. It has to be genuine. And in time, people will recognize it. And one of the things that pops into mind is that if you're on Instagram, I'm on Instagram, the Sonny Las Vegas, and Sonny Las Vegas, my personal account. But if you go on Instagram and never noticed, sometimes you don't have to look at the profile. You could automatically see a post, and you are pretty much damn near 100% dead on and who it is. And sometimes you may be wrong. And with that, some of it, that's part of branding. You have your style, you have your method. You don't always change things around. And sometimes we're jumbled up in ideas and what we want to do and make changes along the way. But after a while, you kind of had this platform like, okay, too much changes is going to confuse people, and it does. When I started YouTube back in 2013, maybe even before that, I didn't know what I was doing on YouTube. I just started YouTube to create videos when I was out in Hawaii. My little brother out in Texas, Sylvester, aka The Rock, Stallone, was like, Sonny, I want to see Hawaii. And I was like, okay, let me save up some money and I'll get you a ticket. He was like, no, Sonny, I don't want to go to Hawaii. I want to see Hawaii, but can you just make like a video or something like that stuff on YouTube? And at the time, YouTube was fairly new to me, and I'm sure a bunch of other people. So I ended up investing in a GoPro, was going underwater, swimming with Honu, also known as turtles in Hawaiian. So things like that started capturing, and I just started sharing videos, and people were commenting on them and liking them. What's up, Ken? And I started to realize not until years later why my channel wasn't growing. The whole thing back then, to be monetized was a lot less than what it is now. My wife jumped on YouTube after pushing her for 6 months. She created a video off of Pinterest. She saw that there was a little tip or trick of putting some Elmer glue around your nail, painting your nail once you're done, and the glue dried. The Elmer glue, you just peeled it off. Didn't hurt you, not very much chemicals in it, and it gained like 100 and something thousand freaking likes and views in like 1 or 2 days. And then when she looked at it, I looked at it because I'm just curious about everything. I looked at it and she just jumped off. And the reason why I say this, it pissed me off more than anything that she was able to do that when I was over here trying and really putting in some work in it. And not to say that she didn't, but it was just like, man, babe, like you should still do it. And she was like, nah. So 6 months to push her to do it. It took about a month to actually have her edit the video that she was doing. And then finally, a little time after that, to finally hit the publish button. And one thing till this day, this was years ago, probably a decade ago, she's always said, babe, I do want to do YouTube. I want to get back to it, but I don't want to hear the negative stuff. I don't want to see it. And I was like, that's why you got me for. Like, I'll weed that stuff out. Let me know in your opinions, folks, here in the chat. Thanks you for coming in, first of all. And secondly, if how do you feel about the negative comments? Would you leave them in the YouTube videos or any social media platform that you have, or do you delete them? So I'm in between both. It depends on what it is, especially when I have people talk about other people that I bring on. I honestly delete that stuff because if it's about me, it's one thing. But if it's about somebody that I brought on, somebody that I welcomed in on a channel, and they are being talked bad about, when if they're coming onto my channel, they're good people in my book. So I definitely am protective. But there's a lot of things between branding and realizing what works for you and what doesn't. One thing I took me a while also not to get involved in is not trying to be like other people. Sure, they inspire me. Other people always inspire me, and it motivates me to like, oh, that's cool. Like I wanted to do that, but I couldn't picture it all together in my head. And now I have something I could roll with and add my own twist. There is nothing wrong with doing that. People do that all the time. Look at apparel. You could go anywhere from like Ross to Walmart, and some of the apparel is kind of similar. It's kind of like they have the same artist and they shoot out hundreds of graphic designs to these companies. And they're like, hey, I have all these designs. I'll sell it to you, which I can't stand. This about reseller, or not resellers, but artists as well. I'm a graphic designer myself. Is when you get a graphic designer that invests 100, about 1,000 at times too, 1,000 graphic designs that took them so long. And they're like, hey, you could buy this for $50. Like, what is wrong with you? You know that there's more to it than just $50. There's more to it than more for your buck, or more for the items than what you're invested in. Because if you sell it to other people, now you're selling the same stuff to others, and that's a ripoff to me. So there's a little bit about branding that I am aware of. I just never took it in consideration until I wanted to grow my channel. And with that, things like creating my own t-shirts, creating my own hats has helped me just not only stand out, but I hear more and more people say, Sonny, when are you going to do some hats? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And as much as I should be type of rolling with the salesman person pitch, I don't. I just want to do things on my own pace. I don't want to feel overwhelmed. That's what got me out of creating my own characters years ago when I did have a clothing brand. I kind of fell into, I was doing too much in very little time. And the very little time I had left wasn't even enough for me just to sit back and reflect. And I think that's very important as anybody out there, not just a reseller, an artist, stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home dad, is that when we feel overwhelmed and beating ourselves up, that we don't just take a step back, relax, enjoy ourselves, and really look what you've done so far, even a few months back, a year back, 5 years back, and you're like, wait, I've done so much. I didn't realize I've done this much. And then you really do reach over, pat yourself on the back, and then get to what you need to do, like dirty dishes, which after this show, I need to do knock out the dirty dishes. And that is my wife right there. Pretty much like clockwork. I love you too, Bula. So I don't know where Bula came from, but it's been one of our little like nicknames towards each other, Bula. And she calls me wildebeest because I snore at night. And whatever wildebeest is, she snores too. She snores a lot too. I love sea turtles. Puffy, yep. Puffy65 loves sea turtles. Honu, I love honus. They're really nice creatures. A little story about some honus back in Hawaii. I just got there after the 40 days and 40 nights. And this is my luck. I get to Hawaii. You're thinking paradise. People always tell me when I say I moved over here from Hawaii, oh, you're in paradise. What brought you here? It was expensive for me and my wife. So that's what really brought us here. But when I got there, I was going to orientation on Schofield Barracks. All of a sudden, we get into orientation. The next day, bam! It's like, okay, it's raining. Nothing wrong with that. The next day, bam! 38 more days after that. Floods everywhere. It's raining. 40 days and 40 nights of rain out in Oahu. And I'm over here like, when am I going to get my Chevy Avalanche? I had just, before going to Hawaii, had deployed my first time to Iraq, and when I came back, I had some deployment money, and I invested in a truck, and I got a brand new Chevy Avalanche truck. It was a 2017, and I got to Oahu in 2016. So I was ahead of the game at the time. So it was fun. But man, Hawaii was one thing, and I am now something totally different when it comes to just trying to find out who I am and discover myself to know what I need to do on social media to brand things. And that's part of the story that I was talking about too. It's kind of all backward. What's up, Matt? Jackass Retro in the house, folks. We got Casey in the house as well. I believe Casey just had a image of this putter, and he was like, "This made my day." And I've been watching Casey for like probably a year or two now, trying to learn from him, Julian the bearded thrift machine, and others about golf stuff. And I ended up finding an Odyssey 2 ball holder putter, and it sold right away for $95. I got it for $4 or $5 at the thrift, and it sold pretty much in less than 24 hours. Um, a lot of times when it comes to me reselling stuff, folks, it is when I say it sold fast, it usually takes me a while to list stuff. Like I have other things, so I try to go in order, but I had other people reaching out here locally about some buys like, "Hey, can I meet you in person? Can I do this? I followed you on Instagram." And part of what I want to bring up today, and it kind of changed the topics. I'm not sure if my thumbnail and description changed even though I was tweaking it because Jimmy is feeling under the weather. I hope he feels better soon. And then Ken promo up there. I want to have him and Jimmy come on together so they could talk about their podcast, reseller clickbait podcast. And my wife is blowing up my phone. I wish those were cha-chings. No wonder she's watching TikTok and sending me videos. It's a little dog crying inside the car when you walk away, and they start like weeping. I'm not gonna play it though. I don't want to shed a tear on here. I love the negative comments. Oh, and I just realized that StreamYard is working today with the comments. I wasn't able to do that last week. I love negative comments. I don't get many. I just respond with humor. See, sometimes I do, but I try to think about like sometimes it just rubs me the wrong way. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a very nice person. I'm very understanding. I'm optimistic that people are good. But some people intentionally just want to poke the bear, and it's just like you don't want to mess with this koala. It may be little, but we'll just leave it as that. It's not a violent show. Meet George Jetson. He's boy Eroy. Let me see what's going on up in the chats. Matt is a great. It's taking a second to come up. What's up, Roman? Matt is a great DJ. Read he won the best DJ at the prom prize. True fact about yours truly, Rare. Sonny Las Vegas was prom king back in my heyday. Odyssey putters so fast. They do, folks. And what I may not know about brands about putters and things like that, but speaking of branding, right? It's kind of like your niche as well. With Casey here, he has quite a bit of stuff that I would say it's more golfing related, but he does pick up shoes, he does pick up sports goods, gloves, and apparel. And if you watch his stuff, like you don't just look for one thing, you look for everything else. But I would say he's very familiar with golfing stuff. So if I know I need to reach out to somebody and ask a question or just want to learn about something, Casey would be one that I'm going to bring up about branding. Is he's branded himself, whether he intentionally did it or not, is to for me to look at his social media, his Instagram account, and his YouTube channel and say, "Oh, okay, I'm learning something now." And it's always good to be outside what you already do. I loved more than anything doing getting into apparel, reselling jeans and jackets and sweaters, t-shirts, tank tops. It didn't matter, shorts. I love it. But now I'm so familiar with it and still got a lot to learn. There's so much stuff out there in brands that I'm still learning about, but it just comes so much easier. Um, but I'm learning that I want to get into the bigger monies, the faster monies, the stuff that's more solidified because apparel is like golfing stuff, it's everywhere. It's just you have to know what to look for. And I wish I did. And at the same time, with that, I am learning more about following people who are branded as such, like Casey in golfing, to learn about it and help me just grow from just being apparel to other things as well. SK, okay, he got it up there. Ken got it up there. I can. Key for negative comments. Hate watching is still watching, and is definitely true. And that's part of the things where I don't block people on my YouTube channel. On Instagram, I do because sometimes it's mainly, well, not sometimes, it's oftentimes where I get people that are like, hey, go promote this on this account. And there's somebody with the ghost account promoting the larger account. And I just block both of them on Instagram. And mainly on YouTube, when I do get a negative comment, I either delete it, or if it's the bots, I definitely block them, not just delete it, because there is a difference. And depending on the comment that's pressing my buttons, I might just delete it as well, or just hide it. You could do that too. There are options of doing that on your phone through the studio, I believe, and on the computer. But with branding, I do want to harp on branding. Anything you want to do, like for t-shirts, hats, stickers, start small. I do recommend start small, share your story with others, let people know what you're trying to do. One thing that I've talked about a lot of times is when I was in Leeward Community College, people branded this college. I'm going to use branding a lot in this video. People branded this Leeward Community College as Last Chance College, and I couldn't stand hearing me say it even in my head, Last Chance College, because I'm just telling myself I'm limited to this is being it, and I can't go to anything more than this college. So I started saying life changing college because it was changing my life for the better. Even though I was going to college just to get paid through the VA, the military, because I had served 10 and a half years, that I really just needed money more than anything. So that's what motivated me to pass my classes. I started summertime, and what I was told is that the summertime is the worst time because everything's crammed up within a few months and not spaced out. So right when I started worrying about like, man, it's going to start picking up, I'm hearing all these people talk in my head. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, even though I was doing good so far. Before I knew it, the teacher says, hey, come up to the class, or let me know if you want to hear your name with your grade, and in person, or out loud. So I was just like, go ahead. And they're like 97. And I'm like, okay, when's the next class start then? I thought that was like a little break or something. I'd never been in college before. I always thought I was just a manual person, work with my hands and labor. So the teacher was like, the instructor was like, what are you talking about? This is it for the semester. Make sure to sign up in a couple of weeks for your next semester. You're done for the summer. And I was like, this is it. Before you knew it, your boy here, Sonny Las Vegas. Fast forward a couple of semesters, the school discovered me, learned more about me, heard about me creating a clothing brand, using what I was learning in school there on campus and applying it directly, reaching out to people locally, asking them how they do their business, what kind of machines do they have, what could they do, what could they not do, what's the cost of stuff. So I started designing t-shirts. This person would do them. I would wear them to school. People were asking, Sonny, how'd you do that t-shirt? And I was like, oh, I designed it. I didn't say I made it. I would just say I designed it. It was like partial truth. So people were asking me to do it. I would upprice them. I would get them made and then take them to the person that had me design them. So I was getting paid from designing stuff and then also a little up cost on the t-shirts or stickers that I was making. So somebody told somebody about me, and the school said, hey, I want you to work for us. And I said, I don't want to be a tutor. And they said, we don't want you to be a tutor. We want you to be a mentor. We want people to do what you're doing, to see these things in motion as is and not waiting towards the end of the degree. What would you want to do? And I went back and told my wife, it's like, man, they really want, like, and she was like, do they know who you are? Like, you're crazy. You can't do this, Sonny. So I did it anyways. I took a leap. Usually that's not something I'll do, even though in the military, I was in charge of soldiers. I was in charge of support units, like up to 400 people, with me having anywhere from 3 to maybe 10 or 11 soldiers at a time of my own. And we would be in charge of like hundreds of other soldiers or Iraqi nationals or people in other branches, supplying just support and logistics. But it was pretty fun what I did, and I didn't connect the dots at the time. But when I started seeing that I needed to make money because that's why I went to college and started graphic designs, I wanted to do more into apparel, and it was like, how do I brand myself? So I didn't know this at first, but I started creating characters and designs like little poop with wings on it, and like shit's flying or something that I was thinking of at the time, and I got two people to buy it. And somewhere along the way, I ended up creating a little panda. I may have a t-shirt somewhere still hanging around, a panda and bunny slippers being chased by an origami. And I just felt that was like me every day at college, like jumping out of bed. I didn't have bunny slippers, but I thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. And being chased by origami because the panda had like little shinky eyes, and that might be probably racist of how I put things together, but it was a hit. I made white t-shirts, just an outline of the panda and the bunny slippers being chased by origami. It was like a little chubby thing, like it was running with little lines on the side to make it look like it was moving. And people flocked to it saying, "Hey, I want some in a pink shirt." And no, actually, I had the pink shirts first, and men wanted one. And I said, "Well, do you want it in pink?" They're like, "Not really, but I want that panda." So I started making these chubby characters. So from the panda and the bunny slippers being chased by an origami paper plane, I ended up making Rolly Row, which these characters I show often in my whatnot things. I sell buttons, and I have some stickers that I left over from years that I made years ago from when I had a clothing brand. So with that, the characters were part of me branding myself as an artist. And one thing I wish I would have did was not given myself a secondary name. I wish I would have just been like how I am now, like Sonny Las Vegas or Sunny in Hawaii, just to be generic and not original. But I wish I would have stayed with that and not try to create a brand, but create myself as an artist to push the brand. I feel like some people could do that and some don't. But me as a reseller and being on YouTube now, and me being out in person, meeting locals and other people coming to town to visit, I wasn't able to meet some people that came down because of things happen. But eventually, I will meet more and more people, and sometimes that's just the way it is. Some things don't work out the way you plan, no matter how hard you try. Life happens. So with branding, folks, I do recommend do small things like look at what you're doing, create maybe a logo for yourself, or say like Jeremy's right here doing it wrong. Jeremy has his logo, right? And this is, if this is what you were to use, whatever your logo is, use for your social media. Use something like Canva to where you could always put that little logo somewhere in your photo, so that way after a while you could probably get rid of it and see how people are if you take it in or out. Use it for a t-shirt, use it for a sticker, use reselling. This is what I do. I use eBay and now whatnot and OfferUp. I'm looking into Facebook Marketplace. I've been finding some stuff to buy, but not really to resell. I just haven't had any luck with it. But look at reselling as a way, whether you're a reseller or not, be a reseller for a while. If you're an artist, if you're somebody at home trying to make some money and you're like, I'm applying to jobs and you're waiting all this time, imagine all this time you didn't wait, but you had a few bucks to spare, right, to buy some shipping supplies. And this might be part of my giveaway. And let me bring this up and I'll get back to what I'm talking about. When I get monetized and get 4,000 watch hours and just get monetized in general, I already got the subscribers and I'm steadily growing, and I appreciate and love everybody that's helping me grow. I am going to have some giveaways, and I was thinking about this the other day, just not today, is that I always think about people who start out, and whether whoever wins the prize is starting out or not, shipping supplies is always good to have. And that's fantastic advice. Appreciate it. I am saying it right. Okay, puffies. I was like, is it Polly's? My eyes right now are like, eh. Jen's Multiverse. Jennifer, hope you're doing well with the family. Cheers, my friend. I messaged Jennifer earlier today and I was like, hey, if you're not busy, my friend, would you mind coming on? Jimmy's not feeling very well. So again, I hope Jimmy is feeling good, and I hope he doesn't get Sonia sick, because sometimes that's how it goes in the household. If you're feeling sick and have something, then it just passes on. Glenn, hello, Glenn. Got Swamp Picker in the house. And Glenn does have a different profile photo on his YouTube compared to his Facebook page. I was seeing it earlier. And one thing I forgot to do, I wanted to add some Facebook groups of that I follow on Facebook, and one of them's a new one. Is going to be Commonwealth. Kevin, he has a really big Facebook page that's blowing up, and I also follow the Niche Ladies and a couple of other one. Boss, Katie and Vicky. There's I don't follow too much because sometimes I feel like some of these Facebook pages are more of like picking on resellers when they're asking questions, where they may see a question for the 100th time, but the person leaving the question, this is their first time asking for advice and help. So I don't like when I see more of like it's not really helping, it's more of bragging. I sold this, I sold that. And I get it. That's how we learn like what sold videos. But sometimes I just feel that vibe where it's not really helping nobody. They're just showing a picture, is not saying how much they paid for it, how long did it take, and stuff like that to me is important just to give some advice on it, just so people are aware. But at the same time, anything that you look into, you do have to invest time to see like, does it have a good turnaround? Is it worth doing? And back to branding, folks. Little things like Canva, free sites. If you have a smartphone, let it be as smart as you. Use these free apps. Take advantage of it. Look on YouTube. Start looking up tutorials like how do I grow a social media platform. Now, I'm not the best, but I'll tell you, I'm doing things that are helping me, like understanding on YouTube, like the hashtags. It can't be the same hashtags that you do for your next video, unless it's the same topics. And sometimes you have to do that to where an hour of something, 2 hours of something isn't enough for you to understand things. Like you're piecing things together, but it needs to have like a continuation type type video. And sometimes a good finisher when it like dies down and you go back and look at the questions to those video and create that into a video to where you're pinpointing questions. So it's always good, folks. It is always good to leave questions about just about anything, even if it's just supportive. Thanks for the video. I learned this or learned that, or did you know, along with what you said, Sonny, there's your experience of it was this. And that's always good because there's more to things than what we could share. And sometimes it's not intentional that you're holding off on things, but sometimes it's just that question helps. Like, oh, they were interested. No, that helps. Oh, I didn't know that. My first thing today that I've learned is how on eBay the local pickup thing works. So I ended up getting a message, and the person immediately was like, "Hey, I want to buy this game that you got. Would you take a lower price?" And that's one thing I would say, people who aren't resellers, but you're a customer out there and you're learning about resellers, like, how do I get over on them? How can I get better prices? Just ask. If you see a price and you know it's worth and you want a deal on it, tell that person what you're willing to pay for it. Don't be a dirt ball and have it like a super low ball offer. We're still gonna get them all the time, but I would say if you're really wanting just a sweet little deal, but nothing that cuts them too short, because most of the time, and for most people, this is our way of living. We look for stuff, we invest time, gas money, and that's going up. If you haven't already, Roman's photos, he talks about it often on Instagram and all these other meme type things that is just funny. Some stuff is a little like pushy, but it's just like, hey, that's him. And Roman has changed, and it's gonna be. Let me find him if he's still up here, right here, anytime picker. His Instagram has changed from what it was before that I remember it to what I clearly know of it as of now. And I don't mind it. He's a reseller. I know he's a reseller. I hear nothing but good things about him. I heard that in person he is like the life of the party. And I like people like that because that's what he's known for, and that's he's being himself. But now on Instagram he shares his other stuff, and it's also cool. But he also has videos, and when he does share them, he shares like little videos that are clear to the point. And I'll be honest, sometimes I don't like that I have longer videos and it takes me hours to edit. But when I start something and I have my way of thinking, like how I want it done, it has to be done that way, which is probably why it takes me so long when other people maybe takes an hour. But it's just me figuring stuff out. And sometimes people like myself are too much into their thoughts. And I get told that a lot, which is why I take meds. Leroy is in the house. Blood, sweat, and sell. Hey, bro, great show. Thank you, Leroy. Who we got up in here? Got Marcus. Oh, yeah, and I did have Marcus Dixon Pickens show up on here. And Marcus is very organized from what I see in his videos. The man is killing it. He also got a new partner in crime that he's been having on. And I very much enjoy when people have other people with them. It just helps with conversation and questions rather than trying to dump all your advice and info. But Marcus Dixon Pickens, really good channel. I do advise if you're not already check them out. We got my party up in here. So this young gentleman, I believe, didn't you just go through chemo, Firm? I had the opportunity to work with Firm. Uh, Furman the Great. He started out, I don't want to say his position, but we both worked together at the Wynn Casino as bike officers. And the guy was lazy as hell, but he was awesome to be around with. He just knew the in and outs of where he could be and could not be because of the cameras. That's all I'm going to say about that. But thanks, Firm. Thanks for coming in. And if I don't know if you messaged me back, but I see your workout videos on TikTok, and I would like to work out with you, my dude. I just got back to the gym day before yesterday. I feel recovered from the surgery that I had like 2 Tuesdays ago or something like that. So I feel good. So now I'm steadily checking myself though, not pushing too hard. Don't want nothing coming out of the sack where I had surgery. SK promo, and there is that. Now, another thing, we are at 31 minutes. That's pretty good. So another thing I want to talk about is reselling, which majority of us are resellers. And one thing I'm noticing here in Las Vegas is that there are starting to garage sales and yard sales are starting to dwindle down on the app. That doesn't mean that they're not out there. I drove around today in the community, which only was like maybe 20 minutes to get to the post office and back. I just went a different route and was seeing if there was any yard sales. One thing I like about here in Vegas, especially in the area that I live, like the Centennial area, is that the communities will put out huge banners on every corner of their living areas. And there's one not too far from here. So that might be actually, yeah, it might work out tomorrow because the local meetup on eBay, and I mentioned that earlier, we're going to meet up at 7 in the morning. It's like 5 minutes away from me. And the guy is buying a PSP player that I just got from another reseller that I bought for $100. And I felt like it would be, it's not something I usually do 100 for 100, but I knew it'd be a fast turnaround. And it just works out that it's going to be in person. So what I'm going to do, I have other games to go along with it and see if this person is willing to possibly buy all of them and then have cash in my hand. The niche lady, Danny, just messaged me, and I've been meaning to message her because I miss her. Mikey Bags of Money, Super Court, the awesomeness, Carrie. I love Carrie. She's a great person to be with, especially in person. And I learned a lot from all of them. They're always just throwing like not ideas, but facts about like this works for me. This is how much it sells. This is where I sell it in their booth or antique shop. So tomorrow they're like, hey, let's head over there. Danny has a live on her channel at 4, and she doesn't live too far from me. So she's going to come over this way. And then we're all going to go together from my house out to Broad Acres. So if there's anybody here in Las Vegas or know of anybody, we're going to be out there probably like around 5. Now, the thing with that is I've still got to put my wife first. I may not be here, but I'm going to put her first along the way. And I like to have her have some dinner before she leaves to work. So I'm going to have to make something a little earlier. So when she wakes up, she could just warm it up herself rather than cooking something from scratch. Today, I was on the last minute of making her some spaghetti. And by a show of hands, and you could put any emoji inside the live chat, have you ever made spaghetti? And I don't mean you just warmed it up because somebody else cooked it or you bought a prepackaged item and you threw it in the microwave. Have any of y'all ever made spaghetti? Because I made it in about 30 minutes. And if I don't have any salmonella from the beef, the ground beef, I'll be all right tomorrow to go with Danny and the rest of the crew. But I ended up making up stuff today. And my wife, it's funny that she ended up coming down a little earlier today, and I'm looking at the time like it's only 5:05. She usually doesn't come down until 5, like 35, and then she ends up leaving around 6 to 6:15. But she's yelling at me when it's more around 6:15 because she's the one that's late to get on the road and head to work on time. And I just don't like being rushed, so I rush her out the door by 6. Do you mean homemade noodles? Yeah, homemade noodles, spaghettis. So I ended up making some today, and I'm just learning as a stay-at-home husband. Like I don't want to just do basic stuff. I want to do more things that is a process and something that's tasty yummy to be like, this is good. Yesterday, and this is important. This wasn't part of the topics, but I guess it can be depending how narrow you're pulling things in by the skin of your teeth. Branding yourself, you really comes down to just being yourself. And with me and wanting to be a better person doesn't mean you always have to stay the same. I definitely want to change for the better. And yesterday, usually we like order something out on our days on my wife's days off. We'll go like to the movies, that's guaranteed, or maybe the following week space it out. I haven't watched Top Gun yet, but I want to hear good things. But my wife was asking like, "You want to go to movies?" And then I was like, "Okay." And then she was like, "Do your hands itch?" And I was like, "I washed my hands." Because my wife's always giving me a hard time about that. I don't wash my hands, but I wash them all the time. What's up, Misha? My beautiful friend, you. So yesterday I was like, you know what? I don't want to buy something. And my wife always tells me, you're always ordering out burgers, hot dogs, fried chicken. Like that's why you can't lose no weight. That's why you're a fatty. And I was like, that's why you love me, babe. So yesterday, changing my norm. What's up, Regina? Beautiful Regina is in the house. I ended up changing it a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I know it's like 98 degrees here in Vegas, but doesn't mean I'm going to be eating outside. And I want to make some chicken wings. So my wife ended up marinating it. Learned something yesterday about barbecuing, and that's putting your wings or chicken inside to bake for a while, cooking it mostly through, and then throwing it in a grill, and it still comes out crispy. But thing with chicken that I learned for me is that you got to keep turning them around every 45 seconds to a minute, and then after a while you put them on top. But I like them when they're a little charred on one side, but it was so delicious. And that's one thing, like I said about food, and with my wife, it becomes the branding. I want her to start saying that I can cook, and I'm not just a basic person. I am a little extra, but it depends on what it is. Your wife loves loves being with me. She'll probably tell you no. She'll probably be like, "Oh, I can't stand them," and she kind of scared me today. And it usually takes a lot to startle me. As I've been telling people, we've been working on having kids, right? And we're having good news more and more lately that that's going to be true one day, hopefully soon, right? To where we be like, we're pregnant. But wait until everything is almost like she's giving birth. Okay, we're pregnant, everybody. We don't want to jinx stuff. That's the way my wife works. And I walk in the door, I'm cleaning the backyard, and she's like, babe, I want to have two sets of twins. Almost had a heart attack right there and then at the age of 41, before hitting 42, October 11th. If any of y'all want to send gifts, October 11th, I'm a Libra, but I do love the Libras as well. Man, good luck. Cooking, yeah, I could. My wife doesn't eat what I eat. I love like cold sandwiches, hot sandwiches. It doesn't matter. Hot dogs, burgers, definitely fried chicken. I could eat that all day, every day. And my wife is more of like the good eater, the salads, the steaks, and the good steaks, like Korean barbecue. I'd say we both love that, and seafood. She is big on seafood. She loves crab, blue crab, and she was teaching me how to eat blue crab. And I thought you would just break the sucker with crab, right? The actual rounded oval shell. Not true, folks. No matter how strong you are, it's not that easy unless you just follow like these basic rules how to break little parts, and it's a lot easier. Can't muscle everything. Can I ask? She's gonna be 36 June 19th. Yeah, it's coming up, and that's one thing we're planning on is a birthday. And the older you get, ladies and gents, as most of you may know, the older you get, the harder it is to become pregnant, especially for females. And one thing I didn't know about this, and even though it wasn't part of the topics, but I like to talk about us and things in general, just to be aware of if you are considering having kids. My wife was telling me that unlike men who can more than likely, unless there's issues with the men's testes down there, um, they could keep reproducing sperm. It's not like there's a certain amount and you're limited. Unlike women who have limited eggs, whatever they're born with, it's it. And she was telling me, and the more and more we're getting closer to having kids, she's looking at this stuff. So she's like, babe, you know what's so sad? And I'm like, why do you always give me this sad stuff? Or some dog got hurt. Like I can't stand that. As tough as I was in the military and stuff like that, I'm not that guy anymore. Very sensitive. So she was like, yeah, there's this 25-year-old and she's super healthy. She eats right. The doctor's telling her, there's nobody more healthier than her. But for some reason, her body's more like internally is more like a late 40-year-old to where she can't have any kids. She doesn't have any more eggs. And I'm like, why are you telling me this? Like, why do you want to scare yourself? Is that Ale Munoz? Ladies and gents, this is my aunt, Alejandra Munoz Verdict. She is out in, I believe she's still in near Charlotte, Texas. I forget the town she's in, but hi, Ale. Hope you and Theo Doug are doing good. Misha is 40 years old, young. I still think I'm adopted. For the longest time, I was mad at my dad and was telling myself like I'm adopted, right? Like we weren't good at some certain point for whatever reason, but we're strong as hell now. We have a great bond. We talk to each other often, and I'm glad we're at where we're at. But I would think because how much hate I had for him at the time was like I'm adopted. I wanted to be adopted. I'm like, this guy cannot be my dad. Like he hates me, I hate him. But I take all that back. It's just me being a kid. When you're a teenager, when things are going good, at times you start thinking the world is against you. And really it's not. You start to have to look at the world and say, hey, if all this is happening, what am I doing about it? And that's not until like my late 20s, um, like a year or two after even being married to my wife. I'm like, how do I get out of where I'm at? How do I stop asking for handouts? How do I stop asking for help? And I just told myself, stop asking. And from there on, I haven't needed any help from anybody. Not really. Like maybe like, hey, we're moving to a new house, from apartment to a house you're at now. Like, can you help me move? Like that's entirely different. But I'm talking about the type of help where you putting yourself in situations and being financially stressed, and it's like you got to figure it out. And one thing with that, reselling has helped me get out of that feeling to where like this stuff that I have around me, even just like my own room, my own office, which would probably end up being our kids' room. Because it's either my wife's office or my office, and my wife's probably going to be like, no, it'll take like 100 years of vacuum this room. She'll use her office, which is nice because it has two doors and you don't have to open a door, look in it. You can close the doors and still see through it like a glass. So I think that's more ideal, my logic, to keep my office my office. But if we end up sharing an office, it is not going to look like this. It's going to be empty. And that's one thing I've been learning, how to get rid of stuff lately a lot more. For the past 2 weeks, have been having $100 to $200 sell days, and maybe even a little bit more because I'm getting sales at the end of the night. I'm just not counting it until the following day. I'm looking for better stuff, and that's one thing I ask. And I'm going to ask you all, folks, how do you find better stuff? And by hearing that, what does that mean to you? How do you find better stuff to sell? Because I hear people say it, and I ask, like, but what do you mean by what better stuff? What kind of better stuff are you talking about? So just because you buy something brand new with tags and is flawless doesn't mean it's better. You could buy something used that sells more for more than, with a rip and a stain than stuff like that. So there's different variables. So when people say that in their reselling channels, like just find better stuff. Like that's like telling a boxer, like, how do you become a better boxer? Box smarter. Like how? So I hear that as well. And I've been getting into boxing lately. A lot of new up and coming boxers coming out, maybe because of social media, but it's pretty cool how things are can evolve through social media. And when branding, my friends, Anaheim, California. What's up, Pinji? I would say with branding, folks, give it a try. Really focus if you want to grow yourself on social media. You don't have to, but I do recommend it. And the reason why I recommend branding yourself is because when you grow large enough, people start looking at you that are these companies that want to sponsor you. I haven't got there yet, but I know I will. And I'm picking myself up along the way, not to be like, oh, okay, I know what to do now. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I'm making these little tweaks. I'm not doing them often. I'm just subtly implementing changes. How I create stories on Instagram, for example, different than my YouTube or different than my Instagram post. They're entirely different. They might highlight the same things, but different information, different direction. And I feel like for me, what I've been learning is that I've mostly been using the posts for showcasing. Like, hey, I sold this for this much. This is how long it took me. I tell a little story about it, not just, hey, I sold this for 50 bucks. Okay, what'd you buy it for? That's the first thing I think about. And the reason why I want to know what things sell for and what you bought it for is because if I told y'all this item right here, this little Anaheim duck right here, and it's a Wild Wing 93. I forget what it actually is. I've had it in back of me for like a year or two. I found it at the either bins or Goodwill for like $1 or two. I couldn't find it until recently. I used Google Lens, and I didn't know about Google Lens then. And some of the stuff I'm catching up, like, I need to look at that. It's in my collection. I need to sell this stuff. I'm a full-time reseller now. I need to clear up my office, especially now that my wife's saying, hey, we might need your office or my office for our future kids. And I'm like, done, not even a problem. So I start looking at stuff that I have. I Google Lensed it, and this little guy sells for around $40 by itself, just like this. So if I told you that this sells for $40, I bought it for $2, like, and it could sell within a month or two, what would be the most you would pay for this? If those numbers were absolute, because some things do change. It's not guaranteed that things sell that fast. Some things for some people, as y'all may know as resellers who've been doing it for a while, see that somebody could have an item say like this and have it listed for a long time at 100, and you're like, that's not the price for it. Good try, but this is gonna sell for 40, and then you put it up there, right? And then you go back 2 days later, you still have your items, but that one sold for 100. Some people don't shop around on eBay or other platforms. They're not bargain shoppers. They probably, like sometimes I do myself. I'm looking for something pops in my head, and I'm like, ooh, Tokidoki skateboard, sushi. Like, let me look at if this pops up on OfferUp. I'm always looking at OfferUp for deals because it's locally, and I could just pay cash, and they usually will take less for that. But if it goes on YouTube, or not YouTube, on eBay, it could be a lot more. And then you got to pay for shipping. And then usually people are like wanting to charge you $30 for a skateboard. When depending on where you're at, maybe, but usually it's like $16 the most. They're not heavy unless it has the tracks to them. I have stuff in boxes, 5 pieces moved. What's up, Ella? How's it going, Ella? Great show with you and Derek yesterday. That was fun. Super smiley. And I agree with Derek and what he was saying about Elia. Ella, is that when you started your auctions? Because I go in and out. Sometimes I'm looking at stuff, I'm hearing stuff, and I'm listening things in the background on my own. Having your voice as background, it's fun. So good moods. It's not like you go list on something and you're like, I want to hear somebody I don't like. I just put you in a bad mood. So I do listen to yours. I do listen to others' channels, and it helps me. But it has changed from what I first saw it to where it's at now, that you do not necessarily have. I think your customers that are non-resellers are more than the resellers, and I think that's where people want to get to, is where it's not other resellers, because we know the prices of stuff. And some things, like I am grateful for friends that they pay money for stuff when it's like, I would have sold that to you for less. Like Jen's Multiverse is one of them. She'll buy some stuff for me on Whatnot. Same thing with me and her. And I buy stuff because I like it. And then you have Cali reseller Luis. He'll buy stuff, and it's just like, you don't have to, but I hope they really like what they're doing, and it's not out of like, man, Sonny sucks sales on Whatnot. He doesn't know what to get, but I actually been doing pretty good on it. But stuff like that, it makes a big difference. And I would like to, as much as I love the support from resellers in that way, I would rather just have your undivided attention for a moment. Even if it's like your moment is 2 minutes, that all you could give me to watch something, I'm grateful for that. I wouldn't know it, but I am grateful just to let y'all know that if you could just take a few minutes to watch my stuff. And regardless, it helps me grow my channel. It's been a pleasure being on YouTube. And with that, one thing about YouTube, I know it's going to start getting hotter and hotter here, and weather has been affecting resellers. And not so much resellers is one thing, right? But it's also the seller. Now we're on the opposite end of being a customer looking for items, wanting to bring in inventory, and there's an abundance of platforms out there to where you could just message people, put an ad on Craigslist. Hey, I'm looking for stuff. Be honest about it. You'd be amazed what you hear back. And of course, not everybody replies, but you wouldn't know who's not going to reply. But you don't know how much people are going to see that comment. And I see one of my friends, Omar, he picks up so much stuff along the side of the road. And it's not junk stuff, folks. Like this stuff is like brand new, like Nintendos, Wii's, snowboards, snowshoes, like complete sets of stuff, freaking Ferrari shoes, Porsche shoes, like, and of course, some of the stuff where it's like, okay, that's like Benz type used t shirts and stuff, but still, like the stuff that people are throwing away is insane. And I'm still going to buy from them. I'm still going to give them a good deal. And maybe some stuff I won't agree with, like the price, because I got to look at what I need to make. But one of the stuff I bought from them was a game that I just sold that I felt like I could make my money back pretty fast. And I think it was yesterday at 12. I listed it around 12, maybe 1 p.m. And about 30 minutes before going live, it sold locally. So with one thing I want to bring out about that, and that was a good experience in my first experience, hopefully more of many, is that on eBay, you do have the option to meet local pickups. The only reason why I didn't do that before is because when I punched in that I could do local meetups here on eBay, that changes your time frame to where you can't pay immediately. And then it ended up altering something to where I got a notice saying, hey, you no longer have top seller because some of the stuff wasn't like handling in one day or something. And I felt like it was due to because that local meetup auction. But this was so fast to where it was like within 4 minutes of me and him talking back and forth the messages, he was like, I'll pay for it right now. And I was like, cool, we could meet up tomorrow. I was like, I'll meet you here at Costco at this time. He was like, all right, I'll meet you there at 7. I was like, at 7. 7 at PM? I could do PM. And I was like, man, that's $200. I got my money back. And then I made just under 100, in profits. So in less than 24 hours. Well, a little over 24 hours because yesterday I posted it up and about 30 minutes ago it sold here locally. So with that, one thing when you do that, I asked them like, how did it look on your end? And I even read up about it too on eBay local pickups. The person that's gonna purchase the item, whether it be you who hears this, is you have to not select the shipping. You have to cancel that or select something to where it lets you do the local pickup. So I was reading about it. It's probably better wording for it, but it was pretty cool. So I'm excited about that. And then, of course, take the games that I have to go along with the PSP games. To me, selling better is selling what's on demand at the moment. I'm moving a lot of bats right now because of baseball season. And I did get a bat. I felt like your vibes were with me, Hustle Man. I went last week. Jonathan, this is Jonathan, folks. Very amazing dude. Told him he needs to start making YouTube videos. Love his personality, and I'll have him on here again soon. Just got to ask him. But I ended up finding a bat, a red line bat, and maybe some of your vibes was there, but not the bad vibes. What I ended up getting, I ended up finding this bat. I was feeling it all out. Like I feel myself in the morning, like, oh yeah, a little bit more lotion here and there. So I bought this bat for $10, an Easton Red Line. It was like a BZZ11C, something like that, some weird name, a model on it. And sometimes you don't find a model on it, so you got to Google Lens it or just research the crap out of like the key names and go through eBay and look at other photos to compare and then measure the bat too. They're all different lengths and weights. So I ended up finding this bat. After walking around a few minutes, I realized it was cracked. And I was like, man, let me go take this back. So I can't take it back. So I ended up seeing that you could sell bats on eBay for parts. There's an option on there for bats, baseball bats, that if they're cracked, you could sell them for parts. I don't know how that works, but there has been some that have sold for really good money, especially with Easton Red Line type of various model bats. try cell phones. People are using them. Yeah, and me and my wife actually have two cell phones. We need to sell them locally. They're brand new. I think they're iPhone 12 Pros, but through T-Mobile. Red lines are rare. Yeah, I was happy to find it, and I was disappointed for a moment. But when I looked it up, I was like, wait, it could still sell. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me share that. So I ended up sharing a little video on TikTok about it, about a Deadpool pop from Sonny Las Vegas. Yeah, you did. Thank you, Misha. I appreciate you. And just to let y'all know, folks, I got this new shirt out. Sonny Las Vegas, a little Vegas inspired 777s. Usually on the slots, but I didn't want to add a slot machine. I'll do that for another one because I have an idea for it. And then some dice. I didn't put it like on Snake Eyes or 11 because sometimes those numbers aren't the numbers people are looking for. At least that's my little insight mind uh idea to it. But the description does have that, and it is an affiliate link. Hey son, you got to run. Take it easy, Ken. We'll get you some other time. You and Jimmy. I hope Jimmy feels better and talk about your podcast. Big community art so early in the morning. Everyone have a great evening, profitable tomorrow, and every day that follows. Yeah, what today? I wanted to ask some questions to Ken and Jimmy, but again, I hope they feel better. Jimmy feels better, and I hope he doesn't get Sonia sick, especially the kids. And it's bound to happen. We all get a little under the weather at times, so I hope that doesn't happen to me anytime soon. Because now that my wife's like, "Hey, I want two sets of twins," I'm like, "Holy Jesus, holy moly, little baby Jesus, like slow your roll." I really got to start pushing these sales. I got to start doing what I can. Let's get stuff listing, and I've been doing a lot of that. But I'm also been doing a lot more of understanding that when I do grow bigger on social media, and if there's ever any like, it makes it more promising towards getting sponsorships and things that I do. And although I've been drinking on Thursdays on most of my videos, do I want to be reach out to drinking sponsors? Because if they're competitive with each other, I'm probably just going to get one. And with alcohols, there's some deals to it too, where there's people that have been uh, having like Tim over the years. It's been about 10, 11 years of sobriety. I could be wrong, and I'm going to go and say this. Jennifer Hayes is one where she talks about it on Facebook, on her personal page, like her success and what she's going through and how it is. And I'm just like, man, like that's not something I want to do, is to have alcohol on here and yet people be still supportive. If that affects them, I will not do it. That's entirely different. Me making jokes of myself and me and my wife, how she nags at me. And it's the other way too. I nag at her all the time. I pick her bones, her buttons, and sometimes it's a different meaning. 50 months sober. Congratulations, Jennifer. But people wouldn't have known that, if you didn't share your story. And it takes a brave person to say something is wrong with them or was wrong with them, and that they're still working on it. Like 50 months, like that's a long time. And for some people, I'm pretty sure if you started, I'm assuming like the first week was hard. And it's just the kind of person I want to be, is to be as strong as other people, to get through things, to make their lives feel better, not by insulting myself or other people, where some people are hard on others to make themselves feel better. That's not me. And it's funny because when I went to visit back in Texas, one of my cousins who married, obviously her husband, she was like, "Yeah, my cousin Sonny's coming down." She was like, Sonny Sanchez, like that guy was mean. He was a bully. And he was like, wait, it's Sonny? Like my cousin Sonny was a bully? Like to you? What did he do to you? And she starts asking him questions. And he's like, well, he's never bullied me, but I've seen him bully people. And she was like, I don't think you're thinking of the right person. Now, I used to be around a friend that was a bully, and we then became not friends. And then I ended up leaving town, but I don't remember ever being bullied to anybody. I used to be able to walk on the school out in Charlotte, Texas, which is not very big. It's like probably like a mile and a half circumference, with preschool, middle school, uh, junior high, the cafeteria, freaking the school gym, and then your high school, all in one area. So it's pretty funny, like how small it is. But I remember walking little kids to their classes, seeing teachers, people asking for help. Most of the janitors I knew and probably relatives, so I would help them out and just do whatever and hang out like that. That's never been me to be a bully. Not until I ended up being in military, where it's like, okay, I'm being bullied. I need to bully the bully. So I started learning how to stand up for myself, and that's when the Texas DNA sarcasm came out, and I was like, oh, okay, that's where it was. So it's never. Sometimes I feel comfortable and I do say some stuff that I probably shouldn't, but it's just like it depends on what's being told to me to where I just get defensive. I drank, I drank and did drugs. I'm proud of my sobriety. Not very proud of you too, Jennifer. Very, very proud. Hi, Sonny. Love the merch. Stopping by to say hello while cooking late dinner. Hey, Miss Lachey. Hope you're doing well. And ladies and gents, Miss Lachey has a very nice voice. Shares some really good stuff. I am still trying to find some vinyl records. I have no luck in it, but I did sell a CD. It was more like a music CD, not like a pack. It sold for like $34. And I got it for $3 at the thrift, but no vinyl records as of right now. But she sells other stuff too. But I would say check it out. See for yourself. But yeah, um, ladies and gents, a couple of things to take away from this live because I'm not gonna be very long. I got some stuff. My wife's like, "Hey, make sure you do this, this, and this," and I want to get some more stuff listed today, and then just clean up in my house. I just want to be more organized. Being organized and clean to the most part, the best of your abilities, does help you mentally to where you don't feel so clustered, you don't feel so crowded, not just physically, but it ends up turning into mentally to where it just becomes too much. And then you sit there like, I'm just gonna be on YouTube and listen to people. And then you realize after a while, it's like, oh man, I should have not have been here this long. I should have just listened in. So it does take some discipline to be successful. But I do want to recommend start looking at your YouTube or social media accounts. If you want to grow your channel, start looking at what direction you want to go, as in branding yourself, right? Think about like if a sponsor was to come up to you today or tomorrow or soon and they saw your channel, what would they sponsor you for? Because we could do anything we want. If somebody was to come up, would you take the sponsorship and you were into it? Because you could always say no. Just because you get a sponsorship doesn't mean it's like, yes, I'm going to do it and it's guaranteed. You want to look at, okay, what am I going to bring to the table and what can they bring back? How can we help each other? And sometimes it's not about payout. Sometimes it's about, wait, let me look at your accounts. What are you on? What kind of community do you have in your following? Maybe we'll just do a trade. Maybe you shout me out on your platform, and then see whatever they want with you. So it doesn't always have to be monetary. But I do have some really good mentors here in Las Vegas and online that are telling me like, Sonny, try this. You're already doing it, but did you know you need to do it this way? So I do take advice. It helps. But think about that. Branding yourself, it's very easy. It's not hard. Just try to think about when you do something, how to always have that kind of similar feel to where the people that you come across on social media that you're already following, that you don't have to look at their profile name. You could look at their video and immediately when it starts, you could forget what you clicked on. You just know it's somebody you're following and you're going to show love. And you're like, without even looking at their face, what they're looking at and the vibe, like you could tell instantly. That's part of branding more than anything. But also an image, your profile photo, your logo. Really look at adjusting that stuff and see what it would look like on something. Use reselling if you're a reseller to invest some of your profits towards machines of your own to create, say, buttons, little 1 inch, 3 inch, 2 inch buttons, and use it towards that. Because when you have a business, that buys into your supplies, which goes to your taxes, and that helps. And it's better to invest in your own machines because you're not paying somebody else who's getting a cut and you're having to be paying more. You could pay yourself more by investing in your own equipment. And it doesn't have to be much, which is funny because I sold on Whatnot a handful of my own buttons that I made years ago and some stickers. Some of them mine and some of them that I collected over the years when I started YouTube. Again, in the very beginning of this live, I talked about how I was back and forth and trying to figure out YouTube. And stickers was one of them. Stickers and the slaps, as they call, the street kids, the little booger nose, not street kids, graffiti artists, slaps, right? So I was like, went on YouTube, I showed some that I had some friends, and people were like, hey, I'll trade with you. So I started having to make slaps, and some of them actually had real stickers. So I had like probably like 500 stickers, and I was selling some of my buttons or giving away some of my buttons and selling stickers. And the stickers were selling for more that weren't even from me, they were given to me for more than some of the stuff that I was selling on Whatnot. So it was pretty cool. So some of that stuff, it's very collectible. People do like it. They get to put it up somewhere. They get to support you. It's like your card in a way, some stickers, but that's not it. You could do t-shirts. And how I do my t-shirts, folks, if you have any one of Adobe or other platforms to draw designs, and we could probably talk about this some other time if you have questions about it. But I create my own designs on Adobe. I put it up on uh, Merch by Amazon. You got to apply for their Merch by Amazon account. They process you, see what you want to do with it, and then give you the thumbs up or not. And when they look at your design, say you get through that point to where you have the platform, you're approved, you could put a design on there, and then they analyze it, looking to see if there's any copyrights or if it's too similar to something that might get a copyright hit. You could mark whatever you want on your t-shirt, the price, and then it'll show you what you get a profit of for that price. So like this t-shirt, I think this is maybe $18 that I put, but there's other options on there now, and they adjusted some things to where I could have like these little like pop sockets. They actually have pop sockets that they're in collabs with or partnership with, and I have a little Sonny Las Vegas logo, like a little colored one. I'll have more, some with more detail, but I was able to use some of my older ones designs and add different types of, I guess, merch that it could be placed on. Some tote bags, some pillowcases, because who doesn't want to sleep next to me? Not with me, but next to me, because I snore, and the pillows are 100% guaranteed do not snore. So that's a good thing. And I'm just gonna add some more stuff. But Mo was one of them, another reseller, really awesome guy. He was like, Sonny, you need to pump out some more merch. And like I said earlier, I don't want to just pump out stuff just because I gotta had that vision in my head and work towards it. So that's how I process. But think about branding. Think about reselling with the weather, how it's going. Some places last week was snowing, of other resellers that were telling me that I saw on their YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And here was like last week was triple digits and temperature, and it's just like, geez, like that's hot. And I looked on the Treasure Map app, and there was very little yard sales. And by the time it was lunchtime, they were closing up. It was too damn hot. So the reason why I say that is that you really have to get up. Like I think, was it Matt earlier? Matt was saying that he had to get up. There was somebody leaving earlier. Oh, Ken. Ken was leaving SSK promo. He's getting up early for the yard sales. You got to do that as well. And it's all right. I actually like getting up early to look for stuff because I get to get home early and get it listed if it doesn't need any cleaning, and get stuff done, rather than coming in later at night or in the day and it's like, okay, I'm tired now, I'll do it tomorrow. And we all know how that goes. At least me. I'm not that disciplined to tomorrow. ¿Qué ondas, way? What's up, Bobby, man? Thanks for coming in. I'm sorry, I'm drinking wine with my dude checked out for a second. He's listening to Tim Polhouse. That's funny. Yeah. We will be 100%, 100 degrees this weekend. Jeez. That AC. And that's another thing. You crank on the AC, but how's the electric bill going to hit? Well, folks, just some things to think about today about finding some stuff. You could always look on stuff online, ask people, how do you find stuff? What exactly do you look for? I do get messages from resellers now that visit my eBay store, and they're like, what makes you look at this stuff? And I did have a video before where there was no noise inside the Goodwill, and I was able to talk freely, and there was not very much around. So I wasn't like, I didn't feel like one thing about when I record myself in thrift stores or wherever I go, if there's too much people, I do get a little uncomfortable. It's like I get a little shy, and I don't feel like myself when like I could just think clearly and just let it all out. It's like really my moods, and that's just the way I am. I capture it in my videos, and I share them. It's not always the same thing. And yes, that's part of branding, but that's the way I am, and that's entirely different. Sonny, did you ever see the movie City of God, Brazil boy? Oh, that's a good movie. Yeah, that's an old movie. That's a classic one. But actually, I'll probably go on YouTube and look at that here in a second. Is that hat in your links? I must have. Um, so Misha, I'm gonna have, and everybody else, when I do get monetized, I am gonna have a giveaway, and I think it'll be a live giveaway. Maybe I'll have a video. You know how people do it. But I do have I do want to have one of these hats along with other hats that I've been collecting as a reseller, blank hats, brand new hats, foam hats, trucker hats, and the other styles that I'm like, these are freaking awesome. I need them. And every once in a while in my garage sale videos, you'll see me pick up a blank hat, and I'll tell you, like I want to use this for like branding myself. And I look at that stuff, and like I said, I use reselling to help me find stuff, make profits off of it, and then apply it towards what I want to do as branding myself, not just as a reseller, but as an artist, as a person, full circle. So I'm going to have one of these hats along with a few other ones and some t-shirts as giveaways. And then Kevin Commonwealth Picker did message me about a week or two ago, and he was like, hey, send me your address. He's going to send me one of the elements, and that's going to be one of the giveaways. And then I do have a couple of other resellers that are like, hey, I want to be a part of that and send you some stuff. So we'll see. Things happen, so we'll find out. But I know I'm definitely gonna have some. Kevin has his probably coming up over here soon, and the sooner better with getting monetized, because it's only a stepping stone to grow to where I see myself in the future, and where I want to be at, not only as myself, but with other people coming along with me, not just to witness the journey, but to be a part of it. So that's it for this video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a different angle of what I'm doing on Thursdays. I do want to start pushing more of points of the video and not just so much of a hangout. And I think that's going to be very beneficial. So if there's any comments or questions, not just in the live chat here, put them in the actual video when it comes up later, or if you're able to do that now. That'll help to bring up other questions to previous videos or next videos that we could bring up, either by myself or with Jimmy or whoever else we have. I appreciate you all. Thank you all. Love you all very, very much. And I hope you have a great weekend. We might be live tomorrow with Danny. I want to say Mikey Bags of Money, my broski, is going to be there and go live. We'll see, but I'll reach out to him, ask, and put an update on that for tomorrow evening at Broad Acres. And there's a reason why I really want to go to Broad Acres like tomorrow at 4. And I'll tell you that in a video, because I don't want to give away my secret and people try to find this guy and snag my goodies. So thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to smack that like button like you smack your girl's booty or your man's. And I'll see you again soon. Take it. Oh, next week is going to be with Crystal and Angel. Crystal is Rosie's Closets, and her husband, Angel. Crystal is I want to say a veteran reseller. She knows what she's doing. She's also a seamstress, and I want to work with her on some things towards some apparel of my own, some custom things. And Angel being a new reseller, I want to see how they get along and what they're planning on doing, being both resellers under the same roof. So I think that's going to be very intriguing, because usually it's like both of them are together and not so early on as these two are. One new, one a veteran. So stay tuned next week. I'll get a thumbnail on that. That'll be next week. And Ken and Jimmy together will have to be at a later date. But hopefully by next week, Jimmy is feeling better and could be my awesomeness co-host that he has been in the past. So thanks for watching, folks. Take it easy. I will check you out.